I'm Jimmy Fallon, and welcome to our series, The Death of Hollywood. It's a town and industry founded by showmen devoted to giving the audience what it wants. But is that still true in the 21st century? Or has corporate wokeness taken over? Does ideology now trump art and entertainment in the minds of the modern showman? And can you even say showman? Or is it show person now? Our story begins in the early months of 2022.
It was just before the summer cinema showdown when Florida passed the Parental Rights and Education Act, which banned teaching about sexual orientation and gender identity from kindergarten through third grade. Opponents called it the Don't Say Gay Law. But what did this have to do with the company founded by the master of family entertainment? As it turned out, a lot.
Disney do better, we come together. Disney do better, we come together.
Just a few weeks ago, Disney employees walked out in Burbank claiming that the company had not done enough to stop the Florida education bill from becoming law.
I was asked by the nuns when I was in the 7th grade, who was your favorite person in America? Who do you admire the most? I know what my answer was. It was Walt Disney, because he made people happy, he made families come together.
Walt Disney would say, we're not into politics. We don't do it. We're not a political entity. We make movies. We want to give dreams for people to see. Politics is not our thing.
At first, CEO Bob Chapek, who was named to the position in 2020, took no public stance on the controversial legislation. But many of his employees opposed the law. Workers at Disney exploded with planned walkouts and protests. That got Chapek's attention.
There is a very vocal, tiny group of employees that demands things go their way. They believe their views are the right ones. They are very vocal and they are very punitive, and probably sent email after email to the CEO and corporate communications and HR, and these leaders bowed to their demands.
Under fire, Chapek had the company officially and publicly oppose the law.
If legislation becomes law, it could be used to unfairly target gay, lesbian, non-binary, and transgender kids and families.
As the protest grew, he folded.
They have pressure from within the company to do it. So you have a lot of artists coming in and saying, you have to stand up for this. They are completely sequestered from ordinary people. They do not know the audience anymore.
If you don't want to get involved in supporting traditional moral values the way Walt Disney did, your founder, okay. Can you at least be agnostic?
With the controversy swirling, Disney took an additional step, reinserting a same-sex kiss that had originally been cut from the soon-to-premiere Lightyear, causing a number of countries to ban the film.
Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis in South Florida today signing the Stop Woke Act into law.
The notion that DeSantis would push back probably never occurred to them.
Condemning critical race theory and signing the anti-Disney bill, taking away its self-governing status.
I think Disney thought that there was no downside to what they were doing. Usually there's no dollar cost, but it turned out that Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, kind of fired back at them and made this big controversy over it, and actually stripped the special tax status that they had of Disney World.
The problem is that Disney really can't take a stand on those things because it's deeply enmeshed in Florida real estate and Florida local governance. There's a reason why they built Disney World there. Now, when you throw that all away and say, okay, all the deep stuff that binds us together as humans, we're not making a movie about that. We're going to instead make a movie about a certain contemporary political agenda. I mean, what do you expect? People are going to say, I'm not interested in that specific agenda today. If I wanted to hear a political harangue, I could stay home.
I think it didn't do well because the movie sucked. It was boring. They were more concerned with espousing an ideology than making an entertaining and moving film.
A lot of the studios are held hostage by their employees. I do not believe that Disney wants to have gay people kissing in the background or wants to go to war with Ron DeSantis. But you have to understand the militancy of the people who work in this business now, who are left-wing, who believe in gender fluidity and all of these things.
Bob Chapek didn't last the year. being replaced in November by former Disney CEO Bob Iger.
I believe he was ousted because the business is in turmoil. Their stock is down 40% on the year, and he's more concerned with fighting with a very popular governor than actually improving the product and improving the business.
It's not as if Chapek's path was the only one available for a modern CEO.
Here's a CEO, I think, whose behavior could be modeled. Ted Sarandos from Netflix. Same thing happened. Very small group of employees were demanding that he remove Dave Chappelle's The Closer from the platform in 2021. They threatened employee walkouts. They said, the press said there were going to be thousands of people there. Ted Sarandos said to the employees, if you don't like that, this probably isn't the place for you to work. And that was that. And guess what? It got them back to focusing on the business at hand instead of arguing and engaging in these culture wars.
I loved how Netflix handled the Chappelle situation. Ted Sarandos stood behind Dave, made a statement about Dave and how they were going to not allow other people to dictate an artist's vision. I love him for that. You know, I don't have to agree with the artist. A comedian doesn't have to be right, and you don't have to agree. As long as we're trying to serve the interest of being funny and giving you our opinion, then we're doing our job.
The response has got to be, go back to your desk, do your job, or you're fired. I run the business. It's got to be that. It's true in Hollywood, true in the news media. You cannot let children run the show because they do not know anything. And I just think it's really important to make a statement. It takes courage, and one thing you'll notice in business is that courage is in short supply, and in Hollywood, where everybody is just clinging on by the skin of their teeth, it's almost non-existent.